What if the greatest freedom you'll ever feel comes not from changing your life, but from mastering your reactions? Most people don't realize it, but they live in a constant state of emotional defense. One wrong word from someone and they spiral. One rude glance and their entire day is ruined. Deep down, they're not living, they're surviving, trapped in a silent war with the world, constantly adjusting their mood, their energy, their worth, all based on what's happening around them. That's not peace. That's emotional imprisonment. And if you're tired of feeling like your inner world is at the mercy of everything and everyone outside of you, then it's time to wake up to a truth that can change your life forever. You don't need to control the world. You just need to control your response to it. And that shift alone can make you unstoppable. Let that sink in for a moment. Because when you're reactive to everything, people's opinions, disappointments, small setbacks, you give away your power. You hand it over to strangers, to moods, to moments that don't deserve it. The way someone talks to you should not define your self-worth. A single failure should not shake your identity. But if you're like most people, it does. And that's because no one ever taught you how to train your mind to remain steady while the world spins. Imagine what your life would feel like if you weren't pulled into every argument, if you didn't flinch at every criticism, if you could walk through chaos and remain calm. That kind of power doesn't come from pretending not to care. It comes from something deeper: training, discipline, emotional strength. And just like physical strength, it's something you build, step by step, day by day. The reason you should care about becoming unbothered isn't just so you can look tough on the outside. It's so you can finally breathe on the inside. It's about freedom, inner peace, the ability to think clearly, to move with purpose, to live without constantly battling what people think, say, or do. And when you reach that place, everything changes. You become harder to offend, harder to shake, harder to manipulate. Not because you're cold, but because you're calm, because you know who you are. And that is a rare kind of power. Stay with this message, because if you're ready to stop letting the outside world control your inner state, what comes next will give you the tools to take back your mind. This is not just motivation, it's transformation. You're not weak for feeling things deeply, but you stay weak if you never train to control it. And that training starts now. The unbothered life is not passive, it's powerful. And the moment you decide to stop being reactive, you begin a journey toward becoming mentally bulletproof. This is the life you were meant to live, rooted, steady, and free. So don't just watch, choose, begin. Because your peace is not a luxury, it's a responsibility. And now it's time to claim it. You weren't born reactive. You were trained to be that way. Somewhere along the way, life taught you to overthink, to overfeel, to overrespond. Maybe you were made to believe that silence meant weakness, that being calm meant you didn't care enough. But the truth is, the strongest people are not the loudest ones. They're the ones who can sit in discomfort without losing control. They're the ones who can feel anger and still choose peace. That's not natural, it's practiced. And now it's your turn to build that power. Emotional discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it comes from repetition. The more you react, the more you reinforce that pattern. But the moment you catch yourself, before you explode, before you spiral, before you sink, that's when you interrupt the cycle. That's when you take your power back. You don't need to eliminate your emotions. You just need to rise above their control. You can feel deeply and still respond wisely. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Every time you choose not to lash out, you're teaching your nervous system that you are safe. Every time you stay grounded in the middle of chaos, you're rewiring your brain to think clearly under pressure. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you are emotionally equipped. And in today's overstimulated world, that makes you rare. That makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Stop waiting for peace to find you. It's not coming from the outside. It's something you create with every choice you make. Don't give people access to your emotional state just because they have proximity to your life. Not everyone deserves a reaction. Not everything deserves a response. Sometimes your silence is louder than any argument. Sometimes your calm is the greatest resistance. You've been through enough to know this by now. Reacting to everything drains you. It pulls you out of alignment. It delays your growth. You don't need to win every debate. You don't need to prove your point to everyone. You just need to prove to yourself that your peace matters more, that your growth matters more, that your energy is sacred, and it's time you start treating it like it is. This is what freedom feels like. Choosing calm in a loud world, choosing stillness in a storm, choosing to be unbothered not because nothing touches you, but because nothing owns you. You don't need the world to change. You need to change how you meet the world, with strength, with discipline, with control. From this moment forward, every situation becomes your training ground. Every trigger becomes a test, not to see if you can feel less, but to see if you can respond better. That's your power. And the more you choose it, the more unshakable you become. You're not here to be reactive. You're here to become a force that no chaos can move. Train for that, commit to that, become that. If you don't protect your focus, the world will consume it. And once your focus is gone, your power follows. That's why most people feel so drained. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're mentally scattered. Every opinion they read, every drama they hear, every notification they check, it all adds up. Attention is energy. And where your attention goes, your life flows. You can't live on purpose if you're constantly distracted by things that don't deserve you. Training yourself to be unbothered means building a mental gate, a boundary that says, not everything gets in. You begin to realize that most of what fights for your attention is irrelevant. It doesn't build you. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't move you forward. And when you see that clearly, you stop giving it power. You stop giving it time. You stop giving it pieces of your mind that should be focused on growth, peace, and purpose. This is the discipline most never develop. They master tasks. They master schedules. But they never master the space between stimulus and response. They react on impulse. They answer every call. They comment on every post. And they wonder why they feel so lost. It's not because they lack time. It's because they lack clarity. And clarity only lives in a focused mind. When you choose focus, you're choosing yourself. You're saying that your dreams matter more than distractions. That your mental health matters more than staying updated on things that won't matter a week from now. You begin to see silence as strength, not absence. You begin to see ignoring as wisdom, not weakness. The need to respond to everything dissolves because you've chosen direction over drama. Let others chase noise. Let them swim in opinions. You are training for something higher. You are becoming someone sharper. Every time you protect your peace, you train your nervous system to stay calm. Every time you say no to nonsense, you build discipline. This is how you grow into the version of yourself that doesn't need to be understood or validated. You're not here for that. You're here to live with purpose, to move with intention, to build a mind that can't be shaken by small things. The world is loud on purpose, because if it can keep you reacting, it can keep you from rising. But now you know better. You see the game. And the moment you stop playing it, you win. This isn't detachment from life. It's alignment with what matters. It's not avoidance. It's elevation. You're choosing depth over distraction. And every time you do, you build a fortress around your focus. The peace you're chasing is already inside you. It just needs space to breathe. Guard that space. Train for that space. Because the one who controls their focus controls their future. Let the world pull. Let the noise rise. You've already decided who you are. And who you are doesn't flinch. When you stop reacting, you start observing. And that single shift is where real power lives. It's not about shutting down your emotions. It's about rising above them. Most people don't realize how much they are ruled by their feelings. They get angry and say things they regret. They get anxious and abandon their plans. They get sad and stop showing up. Their emotions drive the car, and they never question who's really in control. But you can't live on purpose if you're always following feelings. You need space between what you feel and what you choose. And that space is called detachment. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean coldness. It means clarity. It means you've trained yourself to feel without being ruled, to see without absorbing, to experience without drowning. You step back, you breathe, and you ask, does this deserve my reaction? Does this deserve my energy? Most of the time, the answer is no, but only a calm mind can see that. A reactive mind will always exaggerate the threat. It will make small things feel enormous. It will turn passing words into personal attacks. But a trained mind knows better. A trained mind waits. It watches. It pauses. And in that pause, everything changes. This is the root of self-control, not suppression, but separation. You are not your thoughts. You are not your triggers. You are the one who watches both. And the more you practice that watcher role, the more powerful you become. Your emotional storms lose their force. Your mental noise fades into the background. You learn how to sit in discomfort without reaching for chaos. That is maturity. That is mastery. And that is freedom. Every emotion has something to teach you, but not every emotion deserves your reaction. Some are just old wounds echoing through new moments. Some are illusions. Some are noise. When you detach, you stop identifying with every wave that rises. You realize you are not the storm, you are the ocean underneath, still, deep and unmoved. To live unbothered is not to feel less, it's to see more. You see where your mind wants to go and you choose whether to follow. You see where your heart aches and you hold space for it without collapsing. This kind of control doesn't come from pretending nothing hurts. It comes from respecting your emotions without becoming enslaved by them. That is power. That is peace. You don't need to shut down to be unbothered. You just need to rise above, to watch the chaos without stepping into it, to let the noise pass while you remain still. That stillness is not emptiness, it's strength. And it's already inside you, waiting to be awakened. Keep training that space. Keep choosing that pause. Because every time you do, you build the mind of someone untouchable. And once you become untouchable, no one can use your emotions against you ever again. That's the life you're creating, one calm breath at a time. You cannot master your emotions until you master your identity. You can't rise above your triggers if deep down you still see yourself as someone who breaks easily. Your behavior always chases your beliefs. And if you believe you're fragile, reactive, overly sensitive, you'll live into that story again and again. Nothing will change until you change the way you see yourself. The transformation begins not with behavior, but with identity. You must decide with conviction that you are someone who stays calm, someone who doesn't break, someone who holds peace like a sword. This is not about pretending, it's about reprogramming. Your mind listens to the words you speak about yourself. Every time you say, I can't help it, you teach your brain to surrender. Every time you say, this is just how I am, you lock yourself inside that pattern. But when you declare, I stay calm under pressure, your subconscious begins to align. When you affirm, I'm grounded, I'm centered, I don't react, your nervous system takes that as instruction. This is how identity-based change works. It starts with language, it grows through repetition, or it becomes real through action. You don't need to fake anything, you need to decide who you are, and then train like it, respond like it, show up like it. Every small moment is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every calm breath is a signal that you're no longer ruled by emotion. You're building a new identity, one that is rooted, focused, and emotionally strong. Stop calling yourself what you used to be. Stop labeling yourself with weakness just because you haven't yet practiced strength. You are not broken, you are not soft, you are simply untrained. And training begins the moment you stop excusing and start deciding. What you accept about yourself becomes the ceiling of your growth. But when you raise your standards, your behavior follows. The calm version of you is not a fantasy, it's a decision. You become unbothered by acting unbothered. You practice restraint. You embody control. You silence your ego when it wants to scream. You walk away when pride wants revenge. That's not weakness, that's power under control. That's character built under fire. And yes, it will feel unnatural at first, because your old identity will resist. Your old self wants to stay reactive. It's comfortable in chaos. But comfort is not growth. And you didn't come this far to stay the same. You're here to evolve. You're here to become someone that nothing outside of you can shake. The most powerful identity you can build is this: I am calm. I am steady. I am in control of myself. Repeat it, act on it, become it. Let the world stay noisy. Let others chase reaction. You've already chosen your path, the path of inner power, the path of emotional discipline, the path of the unbothered. Walk it with your head high and never look back. You don't rise by force. You rise through discipline. Calm is not a lucky mood. It is a built environment. shaped by what you do every day when no one is watching. You cannot hope for peace while practicing chaos. If your habits are reactive, your emotions will be too. This is where most people fail. They want control, but they don't train for it. They want clarity, but they don't protect their mind. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Without it, peace will always be out of reach. You start small. Before you reach for your phone, reach for stillness. Before you respond to a message, respond to yourself. Breathe, center, choose. The way you start your day matters. If the first thing you consume is noise, your mind will run all day. But if the first thing you give yourself is calm, you walk into the world rooted. You stop being a slave to impulse. You stop letting urgency lead. You become deliberate, precise, unshakable. Throughout the day, stay aware, notice the pull, that need to react, that urge to defend, catch it, sit with it, let it rise without letting it rule. That is how you grow. Not by avoiding discomfort, but by facing it without folding. Each time you pause instead of explode, reflect instead of defend, breathe instead of panic, you are becoming someone different, not just calmer, but more powerful. Track your triggers. Write them down. Notice what steals your energy and what restores it. This isn't about controlling the world. It's about controlling your access points. When you understand what fuels peace, you start feeding it. When you know what fuels chaos, you stop entertaining it. Awareness leads to control. Control leads to mastery. Silence is a daily practice, not the absence of sound, but the creation of space. Meditation is not about escaping your thoughts. It's about training your presence. With time, you begin to hear your emotions without obeying them. You feel them, but they don't direct you. That's the strength most people never build, because it takes time and it takes consistency. But if you want a peaceful life, you need a disciplined mind, and that includes your rest. You can't fight for peace all day and then poison your sleep with chaos. What you feed your mind before bed programs your emotions for the next day. Choose wisely. Choose thoughts that build you. Choose words that calm you. Guard your energy like it's gold, because it is. No habit is too small. One deep breath, one conscious pause, one still moment. These are the bricks that build the fortress within. Don't chase intensity, chase consistency. The world will always pull, but your training will hold you. Your daily discipline will protect you. And as that discipline grows, so will your power to remain unbothered, unmoved, and unshaken, no matter what comes. Real strength is quiet. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. It doesn't shout, doesn't seek applause, doesn't demand recognition. It simply exists, steady, calm, unwavering. And this is the strength you're building now, the kind that can't be shaken by noise or provoked by chaos, the kind that makes you unbothered, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing defines you. You are choosing to live above the pull, to rise beyond the noise, to walk in the kind of peace that can't be touched by small minds or loud distractions. You're no longer in competition with anyone. You're no longer trying to win arguments that don't matter. You don't need to prove yourself, defend yourself, or explain yourself to people who don't see your value. You've graduated from that noise. And with that shift comes a new level of freedom. You begin to realize how much time you wasted reacting, how much energy you gave away to things that didn't grow you. And now you're done, because now you understand what it costs. Every time you lose your peace, you lose your power. And power is not something you give away lightly, not anymore. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them judge without knowing. Let them talk. You are not here to be understood. You are here to evolve. And evolution requires silence. It requires stillness. It requires that you stay rooted even when everything around you tries to pull you out of alignment. And it's in those moments when you want to react, when your pride wants to speak, when your ego wants to prove, that your training matters most. That's when you decide who you are. That's when you earn your peace. You don't need external calm to be internally still. True mastery is being at peace in the middle of pressure. It's carrying silence even when surrounded by noise. That's not passive, that's powerful. That's what separates you. That's what makes you untouchable. Because no one can disturb a mind that has trained itself to rise above. You've learned that not every invitation deserves your response. Not every insult deserves your time. Not every situation needs your energy. The more you pull back, the more you protect what's sacred, your focus, your clarity, your purpose. And the more you protect it, the stronger you become. Until eventually, nothing can shake you. Not because life is easier, but because you've become stronger. Let others react. Let them drain themselves in chaos. You're done performing for the world. You're done explaining your silence. Your calm is no longer a negotiation. It's a decision. And from this moment on, it becomes your signature. Let the storms rise. Let the noise grow louder. You've trained for this. And now you walk through it with your head high, your mind steady, and your soul unbothered. Because you finally know who you are. And no one can take that from you. You are not here to react. You are here to rise, to evolve, to become the version of yourself that no longer gets pulled into every low vibration. There is a quiet strength in choosing peace over pride, stillness over chaos, focus over distraction. And that strength doesn't come from the world agreeing with you. It comes from within, from the decision to be grounded in who you are, regardless of what happens around you. When you no longer need the world to behave a certain way for you to feel peace, you become powerful beyond measure. Nothing changes until you decide that your inner state is yours and yours alone. The world will always test you. People will always challenge your calm. But every time you hold your ground, every time you breathe instead of break, every time you protect your energy instead of reacting to noise, you reinforce the identity of someone untouchable. That's what unbothered really means. Not numb, not cold, just sovereign, fully in control. You know where your peace comes from and you refuse to hand it over. You don't chase closure anymore. You don't chase explanations. You don't need apologies to move forward. You've outgrown the need for external permission. You are the one who chooses when to stay, when to let go, when to engage, when to be silent. You understand now that peace is not passive, it's active. It's earned through discipline, through self-awareness, through letting go of what no longer serves the person you're becoming. You weren't made to be reactive. You were made to be resilient. Unbothered doesn't mean unaffected. It means aware. It means you feel, but you don't fold. You listen, but you don't absorb what's not meant for you. You observe, but you stay centered. That's emotional intelligence. That's strength disguised as calm. And that's who you are now, because you've trained for it, worked for it, bled for it, not outwardly, but internally, in the silent battles no one saw. This level of self-control is not the absence of emotion, it's the dominance of awareness. You see the emotion rise and you know it's not who you are. You know it's just a wave and you let it pass. You've stopped attaching your identity to temporary storms. You've learned that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. That walking away is not losing, it's choosing peace over ego. There is nothing more powerful than the human being who has mastered their own reactions. Nothing louder than the silence of someone who knows their worth. Nothing deeper than the peace of someone who no longer argues with chaos. You are that person now, not because the world changed, but because you did, you trained, you chose, and now you live as someone who cannot be shaken by surface-level noise. Let the world be loud. Let it swirl in distraction. You've found your stillness, and from that stillness you live, calm, focused, unbothered, because you have finally become the storm that silence built.